I live in this school district, Ed is in the Harborfield School District, and Hal is in the Huntington School District. And we've got a little involvement with the district, and for the last 10 years or so, we've been sending boys and girls to the American Legion's Boys and Girls State Program in the summer. And this year, we've got 7 boys, 1 girl, and 1 alternate at this point, going to Boys State and Girls State. Okay, the other thing we do, back in November, I don't know if any of you made it, we had a car show over at Walt Whitman High School. And it was to raise funds and product and toiletries, things like that, for veterans in need up at Beacon House and up at the VA. And one of our members had been in hospice in 2009. It looked like he was terminal, and somehow he came through it, and he learned all of the things that weren't being supplied by the VA. So him and his wife started the program and have been supplying things for the last 13 or 14 years. Just recently, we became more involved, pushing a little more. He's taking care of between 600 and 700 people on a monthly basis. So they fill up bags, and they're doing it at their home and the storage facility we have, and they bag up items, and then I deliver them individually to the various people. So we've got a lot of involvement, with the school. I think a few years before the school itself, one of the clubs raised product and all for the Operation Enduring Care also. So mark your calendars for later in November, Sunday after Veterans Day, we're going to have another car show. And this year, we promise it will be sunny. Last year we did it, it was 42 degrees, it was raining, we still had 75 cars come out. And so we had a real good turnout, it was really good. With that said, I think we'll turn it over now to the candidates for the school board. I'd like to introduce Andrew Bronson and Sydney Joyner. And introduce them, and just keep everything nice and smooth in alphabetical order. And when we ask them to speak, we'll start off alphabetically, and then at the end, at the closing statements, we'll go the other direction. Okay. Okay. So first, I guess, the time factor is a 5-minute time factor. Okay, 30 seconds before the end, Hal will be waving a little green flag to let you know. And at the 5-minute mark, the red light goes up, and you've got this neat little button here. Okay, they can cut your microphone off. That's so funny.
Don't think we'll miss it.
Okay, and then after your introduction, we have some questions here on cards, and you'll each have 2 minutes to respond to the questions, and we'll alternate back and forth that way also. Okay. So if we could start with Andrew Bronson, if you please.
I'd like to stand and talk. So my name is Andrew Bronson. I've been a resident of the South Huntington community since 2003, so 20 plus years. It is actually the longest place I've ever lived in my entire life. My dad was in the service, so growing up, about every 2, 3, 4 years, we moved. I've lived as far west as Hawaii. I've lived in New York. I've lived in Columbus, Georgia, and other points in between. So when my wife and I were looking to raise our family here, we just fell in love with the community. I mean, it was just the people here. We found a lot of people that went to the school that 20, 30 years later, they're still in this community. And just the community feel, the diversity, the convenience, having young kids. There was a dairy barn that was nearby, the mall was nearby, just a lot of just good feelings. So we bought our house, raised both of our boys here. Both of our boys went to Oakwood, all the way through Whitman, and they've since graduated high school. So I've been on the board now for 6 years. I ran when my youngest was still in school, and I think we've just done some tremendous stuff as a board, as the administration, the staff, the parent involvement, and so I just want to continue to be able to support the district, do all the good things. I'm also on the audit committee and the policy committee and the curriculum committee. And the other reason I want to continue, and I always remember this, when Mr. Joyner and I, when we ran 6 years ago, part of being a new board member is you go through a training. And I remember this, can't remember the speaker's name, but one of the things that he said to me that has always sort of sat in my head was he was disappointed on how many people will run for the board and after one term will leave. and really how it really takes to really grow into your experience and to become a better board member. It takes more than one term. And I absolutely feel that way. I'm sure Mr. Joyner feels that way as well, that we become better board members during our second term. And I think we want to really, the two of us really want to continue all the good work and the involvement. And that's really why I'm running again. So, with that, again, happy to answer some questions that I know that are on the table. But it's a little bit about myself, a little bit about why I'm running again. And again, I hope to be re-elected and continue my service to this community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bronson, and now we get Sidney Joyner.
Good evening, everyone. Is it red light on?
The right one.
Oh, the right one. Okay, here we go. All right, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure and honor to be here to participate in the Candidates Night Forum. I would like to start off by saying I want to thank Andrew. As he mentioned, we've been able to work together for 6 years, and we came in together as two neophytes in terms of serving on the board in this capacity. So I'd also like to thank the entire staff here at the school district. They've been wonderful and supportive of us in a way that has been unparalleled in my time serving on not-for-profit boards and organizations like this. So I do want to extend that thank you and a greater thank you to the community, because they've been extremely supportive as well. So in my origins in terms of Huntington, I've been here 17 years. We came here, my wife and I moved here in 2006. We have 2 children in the district, and one of the reasons that we moved to Huntington, as we looked at in many communities, I should say, because my wife was in residency at Stony Brook. We lived in East Meadow prior to that, and Huntington was a place that had such a great feel. And another key component with me was it was very green. We lived in East Meadow and not enough trees, but other than that, there were some wonderful places to eat, and we had some wonderful friends here that we met, and it was a central place that we grew to love, and I believe Huntington grew to love us as well. So we have, as I mentioned, we have 2 children in the district, 12 and 8, who are flourishing thanks to the leadership and the programs here at South Huntington, and we've been very appreciative of that. And before my children, before they came into the district, my precipitator for being on the board was leadership and being involved in service in the community that I belong to. So that was a high point for me, to belong to a community, but not just to be a resident, but be a resident who was participatory in the government and also my children's lives and those of the greater community, to be able to bring my particular brand of leadership here that I believe was wide, diverse, I should say, and very much an open door policy that was friendly and open to working with various members to achieve the mission of South Huntington and to do it at a high level. And from what Andrew and myself and the rest of the board have been able to accomplish, we've been able to do that. And that is a testament to what our residents believe that the job that we've been able to provide them. From our contributions on our committees, from our contributions to teacher negotiation of contracts, to our commitment to education, our commitment to students here in providing opportunities that included opening up the honors program to a wider audience, providing all different key options and indicators to provide students with a pathway for excellence that they may have not seen in the past or needs to be augmented. We've been able to work on I think every aspect and facet that would include improving the district in a way. I remember when I first came to the district and I was how can I say, canvassing, working in the community to become known and run for the board. There was a woman who came to me and approached me and said, the first order of business that you need to have is that you need to work on a state aid formula. And I never forgot that. It was like a mandate that stayed with me, and I became another position I served on the board as the legal liaison, working with NISBA and other organizations, and also elected leaders to kind of work on those items as well and report back to the board, which has been a treat because that kind of stayed front and center in mind. And not to say I pulled it off myself, but the rest of the board who brought down some of the leaders from Albany, we worked and we received an increase in our state aid formula. And I haven't heard from the woman who actually reached out to me, but I wish I did. Hopefully she's read the news to see that some of the work that she asked and put plants and seeds in front of us came to fruition. That's indicative of what I've experienced here at South Huntington, is parents who are concerned about their quality of life, their students' education, their children's education, and they are free and happy enough to speak to us about it and convey their thoughts in a way that is to build us up, but to appreciate the service that we've had and to look forward to working with us. And that's all I could really ask in this position. And again, it has been an honor. Okay, 40 seconds. Well, 40 seconds again, I'll go back to saying I'd like to thank my wife for being able to put me in this position to serve, because she's been such a great help and partner in this, because I couldn't do it without her. And again, I'd like to thank the board and all those that I served with, because this has truly been a wonderful opportunity that I've enjoyed. So with that, I'll close. That'll be my closing words, and thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I've got a couple questions here. You kind of covered them a little bit, but we'll go over it again. The one is, can you please tell us about the committees that you served on in your last term? And are there other committees that you would like to serve on in the future? And we'll start this time with Sydney.
Okay. I will start off by thinking about one of the committees that I served the longest on was Chef. And on Chef, we were able to work on some key items in terms of the outside areas where we do fundraising for the district, bringing in resources to the district that are non-traditional in terms of funding. And so on Chef, we were able to work on fundraisers and also, how can I say, dissemination of items and creating a relationship with the community that is still trusted and growing. And through Chef, we've been able to raise a tremendous amount of money for Mouse Michael through the Mouse Michael format. Sheila Busey and her team have done an excellent job, and it's been a pleasure to work on Chef, also with our past leadership. And I would also say that, and also this one point, Chef has been, the members of Chef have been tried and true individuals who have the best interests of the district at heart. And they've shown me different ways to think about opportunities and fundraising and ways that we bring resources into the district that represent interest from businesses, represent interest from families who come into the district and say, we'd like to help the district out and we'd like to donate and look at different ways to achieve that. And the way that we deploy those resources in the community has garnered a lot of support. It's been able to go across the board in many shapes and forms. And it's been a crowning achievement. And then also, my current service on the curriculum committee has been rewarding as well. With 30 seconds, I will say it's a stellar committee doing some stellar work, and I appreciate the ability to see the fruits of what we've done related to the children's achievement in curriculum and providing additional offerings for curriculum, which has been phenomenal here.
Okay, thank you. Andrew, same question?
Thank you. So I currently serve on 3 committees. I actually started on the audit committee before I was a board member. As a community member, I served on the audit committee, and it's a committee that I continue to chair today, along with my colleague Bill Biangasso, who's in the audience today, so thank you. I'm also on the policy committee. The policy committee is sort of interesting because the school district has a number of policies, and so typically those need to be either updated as part of the laws or new policies need to be created. So that sort of ties into my interest as far as sort of policies and sort of the law and really basically helping our students and our parents and the district really comply with the law, but also set sort of guidelines and information that's available to them. It's always amazing to me, you know, we do have a policy manual and a lot of people aren't that familiar with it, but again, I do think it's helpful for the residents to be familiar with that. And then finally, the curriculum committee is my newest committee that I serve on. I serve with Mr. Joyner on that. And as he said, it's a stellar committee, so I appreciate that. And I think the reason I wanted to join on the curriculum is, as a young person, one of my career paths, a potential career path, was to be a teacher. My family's mostly physicians or teachers. That's sort of the split in my family. And so ultimately, I would say as a professional, I do a lot of training work, but it's different than obviously with teaching with students. And so the curriculum really, to me, is probably the committee that most directly serves our students, and I really like that connection. So those are the 3 committees that I serve on. You know, as far as future, I do actually have a love of sort of buildings and sort of how they sort of operate. So at some point, maybe I might like to be on the facilities committee, but right now with the 3 committees I serve on, I feel like, and being a board member, my plate is pretty full. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next question we have is, we know that the current formula for state aid is not fair to Long Island. What have you done to advocate for more aid? And this time we start with you, Andrew.
Well, certainly as far as advocating, I think as a board, it's certainly been a focus of ours. Again, Mr. Joyner, I will give him sort of credit. We, as a board, certain individuals went up to Albany and they advocated for us. I did not, but certainly as far as discussions on the board and sort of our plan, we advocated as far as the board. We sent up our, again, a contingent there. We've also, I think we made a public statement, I can't remember if it was about a year or two ago. We were in the news and we all sort of made a statement with some of our other individuals in the district to really advocate on behalf of the district and the funds that we thought that we deserved. So not only is it sort of unfair to Long Island, we felt in particular it was unfair to our district. And ultimately, again, as Mr. Joyner pointed out, I think it was time well served, because I do feel, as far as our district, that certainly during my 6 years, I feel the past couple of years have been much more fruitful to the type of aid that we've received. So that's what I've done.
And thank you. And now, Sydney, if you would respond to that also.
Sure. I will say that Andrew has done quite a bit with regards to the state aid formula. I mean, one of the key components of working on state aid is talking to residents about it and updating them and keeping them involved in that process. So he's done a wonderful job with that as well. My experience serving with the board in this capacity has been a focal point of mine. I've been able to spend time in Albany advocating for our fair share here in Suffolk County. Not Suffolk County, South Huntington, which is in Suffolk County. But it was a very interesting experience, because I've advocated before and worked with elected officials on the state level for other issues as well, and other capacities. And it was very interesting and telling to go before our state elected officials and let them know that if you're buying into the tagline that South Huntington is just like the Southamptons or other areas of Long Island, you need to come down, you need to visit, you need to see the work that we're doing here, you need to invest in the community and take a look at what's going on and why state aid formula and the correct funding of that is at issue. Because as it sits, it is unfair, and that was a key point. But we needed to have them come down, and that was one of the stresses that we did, is we made sure that we got them down here to actually look at our district, to understand what's going on in our district, to give them a visceral understanding of our deficits and where the funding for state aid formula could actually go to. So, and we continue that work, because I do believe that not only that it's unfair for all districts, South Huntington, but it's unfair for all districts. And I don't think I'll stop working on this issue until we have state funding that is equal throughout the all school districts, which is the most important as well.
Before I ask the next question, if anyone has additional questions, please raise your hand and we'll pass you a card. The question is, what is your favorite thing about the South Huntington School District? Mr. Joyner?
That's me. Okay. That's a tough question to answer. I mean, there's so much and so much to speak about. Again, I will default and say it is the people that make up South Huntington School District that I think are my favorite. What I've been able to see and what I've been able to experience are people that are very supportive, very knowledgeable, accomplished professionals in all of their own respects, and they have a, how can I say this, as we were talking in the medical term, a bedside manner that goes from the residents to our children, all the way up to the board, and treats us in a way and encourages us in a way. So at various levels, I've experienced working with the members of South Huntington, and it's always been a pleasurable experience. And so I look forward to seeing that as a testament to what we've been able to accomplish in the hiring process. We've sought to diversify our hiring ranks. We've sought to hold our teams accountable in terms of what we're able to accomplish and maintain excellence here in the district. And I think we've done an excellent job of that. And the barometer for me in terms of understanding that is not just my feeling about it, but it's those of the residents and the families here who actually speak about it, and also other teachers and other staff members who also chime in and let us know how we're doing in that regard. So to say it's a family is an apt description, but I think it even goes deeper than that.
Thank you. So yeah, absolutely. Do I love this community? Absolutely. Do I love the school district? Absolutely. But I would say that probably the most telling thing, what I love the most, is how my two sons turned out. They basically have grown up in this community. They were 3 and 2 when we moved here. They've gone to this district. They will advocate and say this was the best experience they had. They ended up ultimately going to college. They both have successful jobs, and most importantly, they're good people. I can't tell you, and I know they're my kids, but how often I will be complimented, whether it's a flight attendant, whether I'm in a store, just how well-mannered, how well-spoken they are, and while certainly part of that is genes, it's also their upbringing, and their upbringing in this community, the teachers that sort of help mold them, their education, etc. And so they're probably my toughest client, and they've turned out very well, and that's really what I love about this district and the community.
You have the next question. What would you like to see improved in our school district in the coming years?
Sure. So I think one of the things I've also learned on being on the school district is that to fix things takes money. It's always sort of a balancing act because we have wonderful teachers and great staff. Our technology has improved greatly over the past couple year plus, and so I appreciate that. But again, I mentioned buildings and sort of my love of buildings and just sort of facilities. And again, you'd love to do so much, but ultimately so much takes a certain amount of money, so it's a balancing act. But I would continue to like to see improvements in our facilities, and that could be tied to security, to our buildings, to even things like additional lighting, et cetera. There, I just think it's important to the students, it's important to the staff, and it's also representative in the community in Long Island. When people come to visit our district, and they do, that's one of the first things they see. Yes, they meet people, but they also see our parking lots, and they see our facilities. So again, I think it benefits our students, and it benefits our district overall. So I think that's the one area I'd like to see some continued improvement on.
Okay, thank you. Now what we'll have is unless there's any more questions.
Well, should I go?
Answer the question. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll also, no, not a problem. I'll echo Andrew's sentiment in terms of facilities. What I would say is that a short period of time ago, we had a visionary bond referendum that did not pass. And I mention that because it was visionary in terms of transforming the school district in a way that has been sorely needed for many years. But in response to that, what the board actually did, and I worked with the board in terms of understanding, because through the facilities committees, they worked very hard on this. We were able to deliberate, decide, and work with obsolete buildings within our district to actually make decisions that reflected the needs of the community, and also remove some obsolete properties to actually receive some gains from the sales of those properties, to be able to be instrumental in terms of starting that process of actually working towards the goals of the bond referendum, but in an incremental way. So it's not that we accomplished the full goals for the bond referendum and the vision that we had, but we're on our way to that. And as we continue on in the district, we will continue to implement what we can, to continue to work where we can, and to improve the facilities where needed. In my idea, we want to give our children the best possible place to learn. We want to give our professionals the best places to work. And that coincides with our goals to be the best school district that we possibly can be. And so I see that as a long-standing goal that we will consistently work on. And I look forward to realizing that aspect of the mission in our new term here in the school district. Finish.
Okay, now we'll get to the closing statements. I apologize for before. I guess first we'll go, you've got 2 minutes, Sydney, for your closing statement.
In closing, I would like to say that hopefully the public that has a chance, residents and community members have a chance to view this, and they have a better understanding of where Andrew and I are in terms of our value to the community, to the school district, and what we've been able to achieve. Also that they think that in the future, in this new term that we shall have, that we look forward to engagement, we look forward to continuing to build the way that we have been doing in the past, we look forward to serving at a high capacity, at a high level, and we also look forward to new opportunities and ways to engage the school district and to continue building up the education processes for our children. It's been an environment that has been extremely rewarding. We want to continue with that. We look forward to even better achievement of goals. We look forward to continuing to deliver for the South Huntington School District. And we want to continue to be partners with everyone that we have worked with in the past. And we also look forward to new partners that we have within the community, as we have many families who have moved here and for the very reasons of being within this school district and also taking advantage of the quality of life here, because it has improved, and we want to continue to make sure that the quality of life here in South Huntington improves to the levels of our expectations and beyond. So with that, I say I look forward to working with you in the future, and thank you for the opportunity of having passed 2 terms, and I look forward to having a 3rd term for bigger and brighter days.
Okay, thank you. Andrew, your closing statement?
Thank you. As Sydney said, we've both been on the board for 6 years, and it's been a tremendously rewarding experience. And I think that's one of the reasons, I've mentioned how much I love the community, but also I don't think you can discount experience. And again, Sydney and I have both become better board members these past 6 years. And I think the next 3 years will also just continue to benefit our knowledge, but also benefit the school district. And so that's just one of the reasons that I really am thankful to have the opportunity to run again and hopefully to serve again for another 3 years. Again, we've just done such great work, and again, not just us, but obviously the community administrator and staff as well. But to be able to continue that, some people ask me, they say, well, didn't your kids graduate? Like, why are you running again? And I say, well, running on the board is not just, there's nothing wrong. It was great when my kids were in school, and it's great that they've since graduated. And I think that's really, to have a board, I think the reason our board operates so well is just the diversity as far as ages and who has kids in the district, who have since graduated. That mixture is really what makes you a better board. And so that's why I'm happy to be in the spot that I'm in, and I'm happy that Sydney's in the spot that he's in. So again, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and again, for giving Sydney and I the opportunity to serve you again for another 3 years. So thank you.
All right. I guess that concludes the meeting, and I can push the red button.
Thank you for your participation and volunteering your time.